Welcome in as ESP Media brings you the new football coach at Lebanon. He is Micah Faler, and he's with us right now on Zoom. Micah, first off, congratulations to you. And I guess for you, you're not really new to the community, and so that probably helps. I know you got a great passion and love for the community. Your kids go to school there, so talk about what this means to be the head coach at Lebanon in football.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It is an awesome experience. It is very exciting. I'm tremendously grateful to this community, to Lebanon schools, to the administrative staff, just for their support and their trust in me as hiring me as the next head football coach. So definitely having that community connection and living in the community and my kids being involved in Lebanon schools is just something that's very special for me and my family.
Talk about your coaching background, and let's start there from literally the time you got out of college to where we are today.
Right. So after graduating from the University of Akron, I started teaching at Mason High School. And at Mason High School is where I started really my coaching career. And that was, as that progressed, that was under the leadership of Brian Kastner and his football program at Mason. And I taught through multiple different, coached through multiple different levels in Brian's program until the last 2 years where I transitioned and was on the varsity staff at Lebanon. But just that experience of what Mason High School has given to me, just as an educator, as a football coach, just the experiences and the people that I have been around have really impacted me and really shaped me into the football coach that I am today. And I can't say enough for Brian and what he does with his program at Mason, just the culture that he has built for that school, and it really has had a tremendous impact on me.
Yeah, Brian not only built teams, but he did build a sustained program that really started to challenge the GCLs and challenge the upper echelon of the GMC. And if you're doing that, that means you're challenging at the state level. What did it mean to watch that program build and how he built it and being a part of that? How will that impact you moving forward?
Yeah, I think the biggest impact that's had on me was just seeing how Brian was constantly, as a head coach, how he was constantly striving to learn more, to improve the program. And probably one of the number one ways that he did that was just the coaches he surrounded himself with. He was constantly seeking people within the community, outside the community, whatever it may be, that were going to make the program and him as a coach better as a whole. And that had a great impression on me. As really how you build a program, how you change a culture. And then from that coaching staff, just getting the players to buy in and really just trust you as a staff and believe in the program that you are putting forward. And that starts changing a culture.
Yeah, I know as a basketball coach at the high school level, and I'm kind of the middle guy. I'm a freshman basketball coach, so I deal with the middle school, and I deal with the varsity and the JV, and I've watched how our coaches built our program over Northern Kentucky Beechwood High School, and a big part for him was always having that buffer and making sure to go down to the middle school level, because no good program anywhere in any sport is any good without having some level of feeder program and starting there. How important is that to you? And you've been part of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That is key. That's paramount because whether it be the youth program, the middle school program, the freshman program coming through, that's the future. That's the future of your football program. And, especially at Lebanon, that's something I was able to be involved in was the Lebanon youth program. And I have been so impressed with the leadership and that youth board at Lebanon with Jen Lynch and what she is doing there right now. The numbers are increasing at Lebanon in our youth program. There's excitement of those second through, sixth grade kids. And that's what you want to see as a community, is you want to see a large amount of kids that love the game of football, that are passionate about it. And that's where your program starts. And as it progresses through middle school, our middle school programs are always producing just strong teams that compete, every week. It is a key component for me to make sure that through our youth program, to our middle school, to our freshmen, to our varsity, they're not separate components. They are one family unit. And that, to me, is a huge point of emphasis going forward with this program.
Coach, talk about the process of getting this job. It feels like it went fairly quick. I'm sure it didn't in a lot of ways, but it kind of feels like it did. Talk about the whole process and how you decided, I think it might be my time to try to get something like this.
Yeah. The process may have been fairly quick, but it did not feel quick. I can tell you that. It's from the time that the job opened to the application process. I can say this, that in dealing with the interview process and the administrative staff that our superintendent, Mr. Sievers, has put together, from the high school principal to down to HR to our athletic director, Keith Pantling, even if I wasn't applying as a head football coach, just as a member of the community, a taxpayer in the community, a parent that has children in the schools, I was so overly impressed with their professionalism and their attention to detail and the way that they ran that interview process. It just, now receiving the job, it has instilled such confidence in me, and also a peace that this administration will do everything they possibly can for our student athletes, and they will do everything they can to support this program. So I cannot say enough for the process going through. And then the fact that they pulled in community involvement. I mean, they put together a panel of community members that represented all aspects of the Lebanon community to hear their voice in this hiring process. And that accomplished two things. That gave the community a voice, and it also gives me, as that coach, now reassurance that the community had a voice in this decision, and they are backing it.
Coach, when you go through all this thing, and sometimes when you take a head coaching job, you're coming into a new community, new school system, takes a while to get to know everybody involved. How much does a little familiarity, or maybe even a lot of familiarity in your case, help with not only being involved with the community and the school and all that, but also with some of the players, that you know some of their strengths and weaknesses and where they are in the program, and you're kind of not flying blind with a little bit of this?
Yeah, it makes a tremendous impact. I'll be honest. It just from not only just being in the community, but knowing the players and having that understanding of, who these kids are. And I can tell you that this upcoming senior class that we have is something that I am very excited about. This is one of those upcoming senior classes that you can look at and say, you're going to be the change. Like, this is where it's going to happen. And the fact that I know these kids personally, that they know me, that there has been trust that has been established, a new coach coming into a new program they're not familiar with, that trust takes a while, that takes a while to establish. And I think that foundation has already been laid. So we are off and running on a great path right now.
In that group that's coming back, and there were a bunch of sophomores that played last year as well, getting a chance to watch that team every week, and knowing that they went through some tough losses and still kept grinding, and then you get the result of a win, which again, you can say all you want about continuing to grind and play hard and all that. You still need that reaffirmation at the end of the day of a W, and you got some and played really well in the playoff game with Milford, had your chances there. What did it mean to watch that group continue week after week? I've covered some teams. I covered a Kentucky football team that was 2-10 one year, and Guy Morris's first year as a coach. And I remember going to practice every day, driving here from Cincinnati down, and thinking, boy, this is going to be drudgery dealing with these coaches. And it was not. They were grinding. They were trying to lay a foundation of, all right, it's not going to go for us this year, but we got a group that's going to come back next year. We're going to be stronger. And they went 7-5 and would have gone to a bowl game if not for probation. It's always stuck with me to watch a team grind through something like that. It really showed me a lot. And I think it showed a lot about your players and your program and your staff last year.
It absolutely did. We always talk about, as coaches, no matter what the sport is, we talk about dealing with adversity, right? I mean, that's universal across athletics, that if one thing is true, you will face adversity in some way or another. This group has faced enormous amounts of, adversity, and all of our athletic programs all around the nation have right now, just coming off of this, the dealing with the pandemic and everything that we have dealt with. It has been a very tough time for young student athletes to navigate just life in general right now in school, let alone athletics. And so what our players have been through, it just speaks volumes for them of what they were able to do after really starting 0-6 and then winning 3 straight games. It also says volumes about the coaches that I had the opportunity to coach with the last 2 years. Coach Hopkins and his entire staff that he had assembled, and he brought me on to his staff to see that just positive, staying positive through that entire season, to see them just kind of grind through that. I mean, it gave me inspiration. It gave our players inspiration. And really, I don't think it's very often that you can look at a season like we had, yet still feel the energy right now in the offseason and say, sure, we're on a roll. Like, we have momentum. And that's really an awesome thing. And that's something that we want to take full advantage of.
You mentioned being at Akron. I know you were a quarterback there. What did you learn from the experience of being a player at the college level, and how you were coached, and then maybe how it shaped you as a coach too, as you moved out of being a player and into coaching?
Yeah. Getting the opportunity to play Division I college football was second to none. It was an incredible experience. And also with just being at Akron at the time where Lee Owens was there with his staff, a lot of just the football knowledge and understanding the game and knowing the commitment that it takes to excel at a high level really came from those coaches at Akron. The quarterback coach that I had there, Tom Stacy, was a tactician, and just learning and seeing how they devoted their time. Of course, it's at the collegiate level, but it's that extreme attention to detail. It's doing those little things right. It's immersing your life and making sacrifices in other places of your life, to really excel on the field. And I think the biggest thing that college taught me as well was just the level of competition. Everyone that plays in college was a great high school athlete. You were the star of your team. You were all conference. And then that field just gets bigger when you get to college, and the recruitment aspect of players coming in after you, and you realize quickly that your football career will come to an end fast. And when it does, it's those things that you learned that built your character, that now those things are going to kick in and they're going to carry you for the rest of your life. So that really impacts me now as a high school head coach of how do we start that character building process? How do we start preparing these young student athletes to not only win on the field, but also win at life? Because that's the ultimate goal.
By the way, you played in pretty much of a golden age of MAC quarterbacks. I think Ben Roethlisberger was at Miami. Josh Cribbs was in the league. Byron Leftwich, I think, was at Marshall at that time. And a guy that you played with at Akron, and Charlie Fry goes on to play in the NFL. When you played with a guy like Charlie, did you ever think he was an NFL-worthy quarterback? And he started a few games in the league, so he obviously was.
Yeah. He was a tremendous quarterback. And the impressive thing about Charlie was he was a competitor. I mean, he was a fierce competitor, and he was able to rally a team under that type of leadership, and yeah, he was very talented, and I was very happy for him when he got that opportunity to go in the NFL because he deserved it.
Obviously kind of sky high at the moment, but you got to get some things done. What do you want to get done over the next handful of months, from conditioning to kind of setting the stage for when you can get on the field and get some practice reps in and all those? Take us through those steps as we go up maybe towards next summer as you get back into summer camp.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's been a whirlwind so far, but the first thing and the number one thing I've been most excited about is just addressing the team, for the first time. And that will happen early next week, of just getting that group back together and just ramping up that energy and hitting the ground running and going, and want to have those clear expectations and those clear goals of where we're going to be starting in January when we start our off-season lifting and conditioning program. And also, we want to place a huge point of emphasis on, we have a lot of football players in our program that are competing in other sports right now. Mm-hmm. I am a huge advocate for multi-sport athletes. And, an emphasis that we're going to have is how can we as a football program support our football players that are playing in other sports right now and be there for them and ensure that they still feel in the offseason like they're part of our program. That's going to be huge for us for our growth going through, into spring.
Yeah, I think I'm doing a basketball game tonight, as a matter of fact. I think there's 3 or 4 football players that are on the basketball team, so Looking forward to seeing those guys. And I guess lastly, Coach, when we get to the first Friday night in the summer next year, and it's for real, and the scrimmages are behind you and the camp's behind you and all that, what kind of team are fans going to see?
The team that we're going to show on Friday night. And like I mentioned earlier, the ECC is, I mentioned in conversation with you, the ECC is a tremendous conference. It is a competitive conference. I mean, it is a conference that has produced a state champion in Winton Woods. The competition every single Friday night is at a high level. And so for us as a program, and what you are going to see on a Friday night is a disciplined football team that will compete through all aspects of the game, every single minute of the game, with a high level of physicality. Those are my main points of emphasis, is the discipline that it takes to not make the mistakes that can make or break you in an ECC conference environment. And that level of competition and the physicality, because it is a physical league.
I would tell you, you do well in this league, you probably are going to have a chance to do semi-well in the playoffs for everybody. I mean, Kings was number 1 in the AP poll. Turpin's a great program. Anderson, you mentioned, Winton Woods, after they got done playing you guys, I thought, wow, this is just not a great Winton Woods team. And lo and behold, by golly, they got everything together and rallied the troops and win a state title. And I think it probably tells you that the competition in the ECC got them ready to win that state championship.
Absolutely. Yeah. Our game against Winton Woods this last season was tremendous effort on the part of our team. And it really shows too, for the fact that, Winton Woods being able to put together what they did and go win a state title, and looking at our players and saying, you played with that team, you competed with that team, you were physical with that team. And that is a lot to build off of going forward.
Coach, any final thoughts other than just, I know you want to kind of hit the ground running here and kind of soak it all in for a few days, but any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm just very grateful to Lebanon schools and this program for giving me this opportunity. And I am most excited to just start working with these student athletes, work with these kids that I know, that I've built relationships with. And I'm just very excited to really pour into them in this community.
Sounds outstanding, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next season, and congratulations again. Lebanon, that's the new football coach, Micah Faler. Thanks for joining us here on ESP Media.
All right. Thank you.